Okay, let's get started. So again, thank you everyone for taking the time to join us. In today's session, we'll be talking about monitoring and controlling open source security vulnerabilities and how you can automate the process using the white source service. My name is Rami, and I'm the CEO of the White Source Company, and I'll be taking you through this webinar. On our agenda, we'll basically be covering security and quality issues around open source components. I will tell you how the white source service can help you mitigate such issues and show you a demo of what a service actually looks like and what it does. And we'll then have a short Q&A session. Since this is a big crowd, I'm going to have to ask you to type in your questions in the control bar, and we'll try to address them at the end. In any event, a full list of questions and answers will be sent via email to anyone who registered. So, if you're on the call, then you already know that open source is great. It's wonderful. Everyone uses it. It's virtually impossible today to be competitive in the software industry without heavily relying on open source usage. The unfortunate thing is that there are a few issues that prevent software developers from realizing the full benefit of open source. And we generally divide these issues into three main types. One is security and quality of the open source components themselves. Second is the licensing risks and compliance issues around the licensing terms of the open source being used. And last is the inefficiency of trying to manually manage the top two. And the white source service aims to address these issues with an agile, cloud-based software as a service solution that fits directly into the development lifecycle without interfering, and gives back the full benefits of open source, and taking away all the problems around security issues, compliance issues, and any manual resources already invested trying to manage open source usage. But today in our session, we're going to zoom in and focus primarily on security and quality issues of open source. And the fact is that if you're developing software, then it's likely that your products already contain known security vulnerabilities and possibly other bugs that were brought in by open source components. We have a survey by Veracode of this year, very recent, showing that 70% of applications have security issues, in part due to vulnerable open source components. Open source is just like any other software. It's written by developers, and it's susceptible to all kinds of flaws, issues, bugs, and security holes. So there's a good chance that your product also has them. To make matters worse, open source communities themselves are actually very good at monitoring, identifying, and fixing security issues. On a well-maintained project, you'd find on average between 5 and 8 patches a year going out, but developers are very slow to adopt those patches, and there's no efficient way for them to keep in touch with the relevant communities and keep track on the patches going out so they can apply them in due time. We've done a study on our own database, which by now has over 3,000 real software projects from over 700 commercial organizations that develop software. And we found that in 23% of the cases, you have open source libraries that have known security vulnerabilities. And in only 1.3% of the cases are the vulnerable libraries in the latest version. So, the immediate conclusion here is that not updating your open source libraries is actually the #1 cause of shipping out vulnerable software that has known security vulnerabilities that derive from the existence of open source libraries in the software. The way most companies test for security issues is by looking at their own code. You know, if you're managing a team that develops software, then your focus would be naturally on your own code. You'd direct your developers to make sure that there are no flaws in the code that they write. You would apply tools and techniques to test and verify your own code. But normally, people would overlook the existence of a large amount of open source libraries in their product, and if those open source libraries are vulnerable, then the entire product is vulnerable. Finding open source vulnerabilities, you know, is a challenge in its own right. As mentioned before, open source is like any other code, susceptible to security vulnerabilities. The fact that it's widespread and has a lot of users make these vulnerabilities actually much more likely to be discovered, and to be discovered relatively quickly. And there are public repositories that track via volunteers mainly the existence of vulnerabilities, and somehow propagate this knowledge back to the open source community. And to make matters worse, this publication is actually a good way for hackers to get started, to get information about vulnerable libraries, and then go and exploit these vulnerabilities. So if the problem is well known and well documented, why is it not being treated? And here you can see what a vulnerability page on one of those public repositories looks like. And it's not very convenient. It's not easy to find or even to understand once you find it. There's no comfortable way for developers to even search for vulnerabilities on their open source libraries, and awareness is generally very low. So, you know, the number of people even going out to search isn't that high to begin with. So, you know, there is a very large disconnect between what open source communities are doing to identify and fix vulnerabilities and what their end users, who are developers, are capable of doing to keep track and to be on top of those vulnerabilities and the fixes that go out to the market with the open source projects. And just to sort of sum things up, we have a couple of quotes here from leading analysts on this issue that say that, you know, exactly that software vendors don't have correct processes and methodologies to track the existence of security vulnerabilities, and that developers don't have the correct tools to monitor and fix these issues in real time, and that becomes a real problem and can expose the end product, the software products going out to the market, to all sorts of attacks, and eventually cause lost businesses and legal issues. So we have our own service, White Source Service. That's a software as a service solution in the cloud that helps software companies and software development teams deal with these issues and stay on top of known vulnerabilities and their fixes. So we have our own up-to-date current knowledge base about open source projects in general, including their licenses, known issues, all other types of risks, versions, dependencies, and so on. It connects to the development platform that you are already using. There's no change needed. And it actually takes away the work from the developers and automates the entire process, providing back to you all the information you need when you need it in a very convenient and easy way to consume. How do we help you manage security issues? So WhiteSource proactively manages your own projects, your software projects, and alerts on security issues that already exist and new security issues that are being found as they are being found, as well as checks new libraries coming in for security vulnerabilities, so it can alert on them in real time and assist the development team with addressing them. We also have solutions for realizing and dealing with licensing issues and compliance issues that most companies aren't even aware of. We've seen hundreds of companies by now, and we know that almost always there's a very big gap between what the company thinks it's using and what it's actually using. It's quite common to see up to 5 times the number of open source libraries being actually used in the software product versus what the company thinks it's using. And a big driver for those gaps are what's known as dependencies. So open source, just like any other software, can depend on other open source, which can depend on additional open source libraries and so on. So it's not surprising that you find these gaps, and these gaps also make it very, very difficult to enforce any serious adoption processes and policies the organization may want. And our tool just provides an automatic solution to all these issues by integrating with the development environment and automatically updating the open source inventory, detecting new open source libraries coming in, identifying all the licenses, all the dependency licenses, and enforcing the defined policy on the development environment without any human intervention. So everything's automated. The way we do it is we have a wide range of plugins to leading build tools and build servers, continuous integration servers. These plugins take unique identifiers from the open source libraries that go into the build and send that list over to the WhiteSource server. There is no exposure of proprietary code when using WhiteSource. No source code is ever scanned or even viewed by the WhiteSource service. And it completely automates the process so as to take away any burden that the R&D teams may suffer from. And at this point, I'd like to show you what the service actually looks like. So as mentioned, it's a software as a service solution that's consumed through the browser. So what you get is a set of dashboards and reports that you can navigate through and provide various views of the open source information to various players in the organization, and you can very easily export this information and share it with others, be it legal counsel or security experts or partners or clients or whoever you need to share this information with. The dashboard we're looking at right now is the main dashboard, or the organizational dashboard, and it's divided into 3 parts. The top part is the alerts and security section, which I will get to in much more detail in a second. The middle part is a mini inventory broken down into products. So for each of your business applications that your development teams write, you would see the full inventory of the open source libraries being used with their licenses and a breakdown of risk factors. And at the bottom, you can see tickets of new libraries coming in. So when developer adds a new library, it kickstarts an adoption workflow within White Source. It generates a ticket for it and brings in all the relevant information for that library and its dependencies, including any risk-related information and security vulnerabilities that library or its dependencies may have. Let's just quickly jump into a library page, and you can see that for each open source library, the system is able to provide a lot more information on the library, its dependencies, its versions, previous and updated versions, the homepage where the code sits, and you can even drill into the license where you get an analysis of various legal risk factors that may impact your usage of the library. But I'll now go back to the organizational dashboard and zoom in on the alerts. So once the system knows what the inventory is, it can start generating insight into that inventory. And we have all sorts of alerts. We know when new versions of the libraries being used or coming out, so we can alert on a new version that is known to us. We have policy definitions, so we can alert when policies are not being met. And, we have the security vulnerabilities alert, which alert on libraries that have known security vulnerabilities. And we actually have a specialized report for that, which lists all the libraries with their vulnerabilities, and you can sort it by severity, so you can deal with the more serious issues first. And we can see here that we have a few libraries with known vulnerabilities. It lets us know what the library is, where it is in our various projects, what the vulnerability is, and a quick description for it. And in case there's a newer version, it lets us know of that newer version, and we can dive in to get more information on that vulnerability and potentially let us know if there's a known fix to that vulnerability, so we can act on this information. Just a second, let's see what's going on here. Give me just 1 minute. Right. So as you can see, we provide a lot of information about each vulnerability, let the developers know exactly what's going on and where it may affect them, and also review in which projects this library exists, so you can understand the full extent of its impact, and provide references to external links that may help you either fix the issue altogether or have a working workaround so your product is not exposed to attacks. Let's try and open the vulnerability report. And the nice thing about this report is it shows you not only the vulnerable libraries with their projects, vulnerabilities, and description, but it also lets you know about newer versions of the library that's affected. So you may go out and update to the newest version, and hopefully that will resolve the security issue and and let you have a much more stable and robust version of your own product. Okay, so I think this should cover the demo. Let's go back. What's going on? Right. So let's quickly review what we covered in this session. As mentioned, open source is wonderful. You can't go developing software without heavily relying on open source, but its value can be diluted by security or quality issues of the open source components, licensing and compliance risks from the licenses and the licensing terms that come with the open source, and the ineffectiveness of trying to manually manage security and compliance issues, where the white source service seamlessly integrates with your existing development lifecycle. You don't need to change anything. It just takes away the work that's being done manually by the R&D team. It proactively provides alerts on security vulnerabilities and new versions as soon as they go out in the market, so you may upgrade and fix on time. It enforces organizational policies for legal reasons and compliance reasons, and automate the entire open source management process in a very fast and easy and cost-effective manner. I would like to invite all of you to try out the service. You can contact us for a free trial. It takes no more than an hour to have a working POC and understand what your own issues are around open source. Let me see if we have any questions. Yeah, I see we have a couple. I'll try and answer. So we have a question asking, what knowledge bases do we use for the known security vulnerabilities? And we use the two big ones. One is the NVD. It's the National Vulnerabilities Database that's maintained by NIST from the federal government of the U.S. And the second is a community site. The largest community site for open source vulnerability is called OSVDB. That's Open Source Vulnerabilities Database. And both are updated daily and are very good, and those are the sources that we use. And we have actually an automated system to match those vulnerabilities against open source libraries with their specific versions, so we know exactly to tell you if you are affected and to what extent. We have another question that says, are you integrated with TeamCity? So TeamCity is a build server, and that it's very popular, and naturally we do have a plugin for that. We also integrate with Maven and Jenkins, Bamboo, Microsoft TFS, Artifactory, and have a very convenient SDK for homegrown environments or for easy integration with other systems. Let's see what else. I think we'll stop here. I see a few more questions, but we'll make sure to address all of your questions in a orderly Q&A document and send it back to you with the summary of this session. I'd like to thank everyone again for taking the time to attend, and I hope to see you soon again. So thank you.